tonight. Shout out to everyone who's in the chat with all your commentary. Shout out to Jacadero who's here earlier. Uh, um, Shout out to Buana who's getting his sound together. Hopefully that'll be good when he comes back. Shoot the Breeze topic number 4 is, will someone tell this man to stop fighting for state property? This goes to a link on Twitter.
What you finna do, yo?
I ain't like, man.
You been here for 10 minutes.
Bro, I really ain't supposed to be doing this, man. My girl just beefing. And I'm just in that moment right now.
I already got my money, so I don't give a if you leave or not. You can leave.
I ain't tripping on the $60. They ain't about nothing. I'm just saying, like, I ain't never did this before.
So you a virgin?
I ain't no virgin. I ain't none of that. Like, I don't know, man. Matter of fact, my girl might be outside filing me or something. I don't know.
You starting to scare me.
Scare you?
You've been stalling.
She out there. You need to be scared. I ain't stalling.
Is you the feds?
I'm
you
far from it. Far from it.
God damn.
Like, man, that's
you're not.
Come on. You know what?
Let me check to see if you're the feds.
What you doing? Do what you do. Ain't none of that. Check, man. Now you know what? Let me find my comment, man. Because
please find something.
Let me get this out the way.
Sorry, there's actually a couple of videos here. I didn't set it up. This is a tweet from 31 Days of Gigi. Never heard of this person. She says, I know y'all said if you want TikTok, blah, 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 but I had to share this with y'all. So there's this crazy story. It's 5 videos. I'll play it through back to back, and then I'll replay it one more time just to make sure everyone gets it.
What you finna do, yo?
I ain't like, a minute. I ain't, man.
You been here for 10 minutes.
Bro, I really ain't supposed to be doing this, man. My girl just beefing. And I'm just in that moment right now.
I already got my money, so I don't give a if you leave or not. You can leave.
Tripping on the $60. They ain't about nothing. I'm just saying, like, I ain't never did this before.
So you a virgin?
I ain't no virgin. I ain't none of that. Like, I don't know, man. Matter of fact, my girl might be outside filing me or something. I don't know.
You starting to scare me.
Scare you?
You've been stalling.
She out there. You need to be scared. I ain't stalling.
Is you the feds?
I'm far from it. Far from it.
God damn.
Like, man, that's
you're not.
Come on. You know what?
Let me check to see if you're the feds.
What you doing? Do what you do. Ain't none of that. Check, man. Now you know what? Let me find my comment, man. Because
please find something.
Let me get this out the way. Need no shot.
You need something. Act like you motherfucker.
I don't need none of that.
Act like you've been here before.
I'm far from that.
God damn. Who the f is at the door?
Hold on, wait, chill out. That mother partner.
Your partner?
Yeah.
This ain't, we're not doing no mother train. You ain't pay for all that.
Really, Maisha? So that's what we're doing? What you doing? What you doing? That's what we're doing? You was really about to why you can't go nowhere?
Why are you calling?
Are you serious? You really was about to that's cold.
You set me up?
That's what it set you up. You about to my partner.
Hey, I was not gonna
man, you was lying. I just gave you $60.
I was not gonna
I just gave her $60.
I'm not no motherfucker. I just needed some attention.
So this what you be doing every night when you talking about you working late.
You come talk to me, you go straight to the room. You go to the room,
so you gonna go
I wasn't gonna him. I just needed some attention.
Oh, so you gonna get in a hotel room to get some attention. Yeah. How long you been doing this for?
Well, I don't know.
Man, how many in the bro, be real, man. Man, just let her go, man. All late. Well, why the would you do that shit?
I wasn't gonna.
Man, we got a daughter, like, what kind of example you set for your daughter?
A little bit of money.
What if our daughter was doing this shit? You think that shit cool?
Hey,
Why would you do some shit like
I'm
that?
gonna bring her up right now.
Don't bring her up. Like this reality, you gotta think about that. This is about you.
Hey.
What's wrong with you? Why would you do
You
that shit?
know, like you know.
What do I know? I know you was about to f my partner.
You know. I just I was not gonna f him.
Man, stop lying to that
Shut
man.
the f up.
That's man, I just gave you $60, man.
Him.
Cool, man.
Babe.
Like you said, how many just be honest with me? How long you been doing this shit?
Babe.
For real, how long you been doing this?
I don't know.
Like clearly you was about to f
Sound like she been doing it the way she was talking to
told
you.
me the whole plea
You
told
shut
me
the
he could
f
get
up.
money.
She been sound like she
You
been
set
doing
me
this.
up.
Man, so you for money, like you know what that is for real.
Hey, I use
Like think you not even thinking about what you're doing.
What
What the f condom gotta do? You still f***ing.
Hey,
I'm supposed to just let this shit go because you f***ing use a condom?
I don't know what to say. What do you want me to say?
Crazy, man.
Obviously, you know. What do you want from me?
I wanna know why the f would you do that?
I just
Like you ain't
need
gave
a
me no
little
f***ing
bit
real
of
excuse.
attention. You don't give me attention no more.
Man, what if he could have been a f***ing killer or something?
Hey.
Yeah, it could have been somebody with a f***ing disease, giving AIDS and shit. You gonna give me that shit?
Unprotected.
But you was just gonna entertain me. Now you ain't have sex unprotected. Make your mind
Why
up.
are you doing this to me?
Why am I doing what? Why are you the one who's doing it? Why are you doing this? That's what I'm trying to find out. Why would you do this shit?
We're barely making bills.
But the bills get paid.
Barely?
Man, let her go,
But they
man.
get paid. I make sure the bills get paid.
Let her go. Ain't no telling how many been ran through her now.
Babe.
Man, you better not.
I want to man done this shit with.
You know my situation. You know how I was raised.
Usually I play those type of short stuff twice, but I gotta be honest, that hole was embarrassing. And I'm not even talking about the woman necessarily. But that hole was embarrassing in that video right there. And this is the Western, this is the potential in the Western world. I had an interesting conversation with two Muslim young women the other day, Friday. And they was talking about like their culture and dating, and you know, what do they call it? They call it love marriage versus arranged marriage. And these are young college age women, and they're telling me and this other black guy straight up, like the world will tell y'all like we are oppressed and this, that, and the other. Well, we're not oppressed. We have choices. Even in arranged marriages, oftentimes that arranged marriage stuff happens after we've tried to find love marriage on our own, and we turn to our parents and say, "Hey, okay, we tried it. We're 25 now. Let's do arranged." You know, and their aim is to be married by 25. In fact, one of them was like 23, I want to be married by. Like, that's what they do. And it's interesting, even in that arranged marriage shit, they spend those first couple years getting to know the person. Like, they treat it like a big date. Right? Like, they treat the beginning of marriage, like the honeymoon, is like one long date for a couple of years, and then they decide they want to have children, blah, blah, blah. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. Now, because of the weight that these religions carry, all the pork, you know, all the nonsense that you got to swallow. But in some of this shit, there is some good stuff in it, because that cultural thing is part of their religious thing. And they have a different mindset. They're not out here, I'm not saying 100%, but they're not out here doing this shit like that. And again, I'm not saying as it's always black folks doing it, but what I am saying is for the most part, they're not doing this. Whereas this thing here, this could happen to even any one of us on the panel. As conscious as we try to be, and as whatever, as upright as we try to be, this is a reality. This can happen to you. That's a serious problem. And we have to start considering how are we going to fix this problem. Because other groups, and not just because of these two girls I spoke to, but over my years now of talking to different people groups, other groups, especially those that are not westernized, they're not, this doesn't happen like that. This doesn't happen like that. You know, in the chat, Jose said, in those cultures, the girls already have a wife mindset, though. Even so, the boys are family minded. Jose, we'll start with you. What say you to what you just saw, and to what the prompt is asking? The prompt is asking, will someone tell this man to stop fighting for state property? What say you? Jose, are you there? All right, look like Jose is in the chat.
I'm sorry. I was muted.
Go ahead.
I was already talking. Yeah. But so where was I? No, I'm watching with special caution. I noted that the dude cared about her. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I heard in his voice that what he meant is, why are you doing this to yourself? So he is wasting his care, and that looks and sounds familiar. There's a lot of broken men, not only because, you know, if you do that as a girl / woman, I think you're broken. But how he handles it, he can only be broken. He can only have a vacuum in care himself, that he cares for a woman like this after finding out what she is doing. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you know, she's for the streets is a quote often used nowadays. And yeah, as I am like the dude, you know, I keep falling in those traps, quote unquote. But as I'm speaking, I think I'm still like the dude. So I actually sometimes sound harsh towards modern women, but I actually am yeah, how would you call it, anxious or whatever, or over aware that I am such guy that falls for his own vacuum in care. So I don't know about who I should care more, the girl or the guy. I'm looking at broken people. So yeah. I think the girl must be delivered back to her parents because they didn't do a good job, and dude probably the same thing. But I guess that's where the problem started, right? So yeah, that's my part. That's my part. I pass the mic.
I appreciate that, Jose. I saw where Lero disagreed when I said it's a Western thing. Now listen, the world has a touch of Westernization, for sure. Even in some of those cultures I was talking about, those women who I was talking to recently, they have some Westernization has occurred over time in those places too. But this is a Western thing. There was a time in the Caribbean you couldn't do this. I think now it you see a little bit, but there was a time. Well, let me not say you couldn't do it, but the price could have been a hefty price for some shit like this. And I think the same was true of Africa at one time. Like there was a hefty price for some shit like this. Let me go to who's speaking there.
I'm I have experience with modern women on the continent. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, all right. Forecast. What say you to this?
I mean, I don't got much to say to it. I mean, yeah, it looked like the brother got caught up with the wrong people. I would say brothers need to be more aware about, you know what I'm saying, who they talking to, and like, you know what I'm saying, don't just get caught up with any girl. And it looked like the brother is like thinking about, you know what I'm saying, just letting it go. But I would disagree with that. But I would say, you know, more older brothers, like just a lesson I learned from this. More older brothers need to teach younger brothers how to vet women properly, because not all women is good, and some women will lead you down the wrong path and lead you hurt. You know what I'm saying? But I'll pass the mic.
No, I think that's well stated too. Thanks for bringing it to that element too. Like one of the things I wish the older men, and I notice it's less of it here in America than in the Caribbean. But I wish the older men had said more about relationships, like real relationship stuff. I remember being a kid in Nassau and in my community seeing these older men, men who would be like my age now. And these guys they'll be drinkers and stuff like that, and you never see them married or living with a woman. And I used to wonder why. This was me as a young teenager. Like, why are these guys always just hanging out with one another, drinking and stuff? And now that I've become what's like their age now, I realize why. I realize why a lot of these guys just decide to bow out of that shit and just be to themselves, kind of. And we needed to have a system where men were talking about these things. What was your experience? What were the signs? What should I avoid? And I think we need more of that in Truth Forecast. With that, let's welcome in Carl Hezekiah this week. Carl, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. I'm great. Good to see you.
So I saw this video before, but I don't know if it's a skit or not. But you gotta let a hoe be a hoe, and that's kind of what I'm seeing in this situation. This girl, she's tricking off the money, and she's really pulling on this guy's heartstrings, and it's sad to see. And I hope he doesn't take her back. But to your point about other cultures, there's a Muslim porn star. Her name is Mia Khalifa. Don't ask me how I know, but she can't
Yeah,
go home.
I have no idea
I
who
have
Mia.
no idea. Well, she can't go home. She knows if she goes home, she might die. She knows that she's been doing pornography for however long she has. She's retired now. I don't know how I know that, but anyways, she can't go home because her culture frowns so deeply upon this behavior that she knows her life is in danger. And this woman, at first she said she needed attention, and then she said he's not paying the bills, and she's trying to flip it on him. It's his fault, and he's like, "What about our daughter?" This woman is a prostitute, sir. You know, you have to understand what you got. It's not worth it. His friend is trying to tell him. It's funny how her tone changes when talking to her husband versus her friend. She's telling him to shut the fuck up and all the other stuff, and then when it turns to him, oh baby, please, why are you doing this to me? Like he did something to her. So yeah, she's state property. You got to let a hoe be a hoe. I hope he didn't marry her, so he has to go through court when he gets divorced. But he needs to leave this woman alone because this ain't her first time. The way she was acting all nervous. Again, I don't know if it's real, if it's a skit, but the way she was acting, like she like, heard me get the condoms. Like she had done this before. This is a lady of the night, you know. So she got to let her go. Don't let her manipulate you. Don't let her pull on your heartstrings. And to your point about the elder men not really teaching the younger men, a lot of times those older men are in the community. At least I know in my community, we used to talk at the barbershop. But many men, especially black men in the U.S., many of us are raised by single mothers. And I was raised by a single mother until my mom got married when I was 12. But my stepdad, he gave me a lot of information. But a lot of young men, they don't really get that information. Then those men's opinions aren't valued in the community either. You know, they're told to be quiet, they're told to shut up. Their thoughts and their feelings on these issues aren't really valued in the community. So I just think that he needs to leave her alone. And yeah, to your point, we do need more older men giving these young men, teaching them, because like you say, all women aren't good. There are some. Every woman's not your mother. She doesn't love you unconditionally. A lot of these women just out to get what they can. But she's out here selling her body for $60. Like, that's a low price, but that's a shame. But I hope he leaves her alone. This is real. All right. Thanks. That's my thoughts on this.
I don't know how Kyle know that's a low price, but we'll move on from that. Uh this guy needs to go on TV. If it's real, he needs to be on TV, YouTube, walkie-talkie, whatever. He needs to be broadcasting, because if it's true, you have to wonder, well, what made him send his boy to do this mission? And he needs to be telling people what he saw, what didn't ring right, like what was going on. I think we need to do more. And this goes back to that concept of shaming, by the way. Yeah, don't sit down quiet about this. Let every male child around you, every man around you, know what preceded this stuff. You know what I mean? And hopefully the brother didn't take this woman back. But let me go
Koku, I
on
want
to
to say something before you start. I'm sorry. There's a new, I don't know if you, a lot of times in these social media streets, you're seeing more people talk about sex work being work. So there's an attempt to normalize sex workers now. So I wouldn't doubt that this is part of that attempt to normalize, um, prostitution in a way. And I think there could be some arguments for or against it, but yeah, I really think that's also a part of that. This idea that sex work is work. I guess sex workers got to start turning in their W-2 for their income taxes, I guess.
right, right. Let's have from Real Black Gentleman. What say you?
Yeah, I wouldn't really beat up on them too hard. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, men are conditioned to respond to situations in a certain way. And so like him even like going so far and his friend, going so far to let him know, what was going on. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, you gotta let her go because she's not. I mean, but it's not. It's not. I mean, it's one of those things. It's not easy to say let her go. If they have a family together. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like it puts a you know what I'm saying. It's damage. It's damage, but is it impossible to be healed? I mean, it won't be the same, but I don't want to blame the man like that. You know what I'm saying? It's so easy to blame him because, of her actions. She's the loose one. You know what I'm saying? She's the irresponsible one in all of this. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to say, well, he should have worked harder and he should have been able to do this because at some point, I think it's not necessarily for tangible outcomes. It's more like emotional outcomes. Like sometimes it's like she was trying to put him in a type of box. She wasn't happy with just one man in the relationship. She wanted, what I'm saying, that's the issue. I mean, part of that is I think, what I'm saying, that is an aspect of like marriage and whatnot that definitely has to be addressed because I mean, people have urges outside. You can see here have a family with one person, but I mean there's honestly legitimate reasons why you don't want to sleep around. However, it's one of those things where if it can be managed in a way, I suppose, like, I don't know. It's not something you would want to definitely like have in your camp, but it's like I don't want to blame the man, you know what I'm saying? Like he has to just recognize that this woman is not going to be on his team. You know what I'm saying? She's not going to be on his purpose and just to act accordingly and just make his moves, you know what I'm saying, what they are. I mean, if he forgives her wholeheartedly, I mean, he's bound to, you know what I'm saying, it'll be a little period of time where she's cool with it and then she'll just make the moves on him again. It's just the nature of people. Like, it's real hard for people, like, if they can get away with something once and they'll try to find a way to get away with it again, and they'll try to rationalize and say, well, it's not the same thing, it's not the same type. I mean, it's all bad, man. I mean, I don't want women to be state property. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, at some point, it's like, I'm a man, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a woman. I can't speak for women's issues. All I can see is observe things, you know what I'm saying? If things cross my mind, I can say things, but I can't like influence unduly. That doesn't make any sense. I should be putting more attention on men's issues. And it's ugly. I don't get any entertainment from it. I think that you know, you have to have value in if you're going, especially when there's children involved. You have to at least put that in. You have to sacrifice your own. You know, it's just not good to bring outsiders into the family. It's just there's no reason for it. I'm a yield.
Yeah, to the brother in the video, if you come across this segment on Shoot the Breeze clips or here, don't listen to that advice. Respectfully, get far away from this broad. Get the fuck away from this broad. You understand? Far away. There's nothing. I see Olagunda in the chat saying that there ain't nothing to salvage in this shit. This is rotten. This shit is rotten. Get the fuck away from this. Let's hear from Bwana Hagaziki. Let's see if the sound is better. Bwana, what's say?
1 2 1 2. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, good. So, to whoever wrote this prompt, I have a funny suspicion who it is. She is not state property. In fact, she is private property, and she's selling her private property out at $60 a time. So, I mean, I wouldn't consider it to be state property at all. But you know, I'm a man in my early 40s. You know, a man in his condoms no more. You know what I mean? So, for a man like him, I would be very concerned about my personal health if I know that my woman, my personal woman, who I have a so-called monogamous relationship with, she tricking out at $60 a time. So I'm not concerned about what she's doing. I'm concerned about whether I get the thing or not. So I'm trying to go to the clinic. You know what I mean? So this whole thing of why you doing this and my biggest concern is, am I gonna die? You know, so whatever she got going on with, she is. Let me tell the brothers something. I mean, the brothers may not know this. You know, as an older man, let me install y'all with some wisdom, what I've learned. Women are beautiful, lovely. Yes, we understand this. Some women will pique your interest where you feel like she is the only woman on this planet. But the reality is that women outnumber us must be 3-4 times to 1. If the woman you with, you find she is a skettel, she is a woman who you really don't care for, I mean, it is so many other opportunity chances where you're going to find another woman to fall in love with and spend your personal time with. You know what I mean? Don't kill yourself or murder yourself over one woman, bro. I mean, it's not to say that women ain't valuable. Yes, the beautiful women are valuable. Some of them don't consider themselves as valuable enough not to be tricking at $60 a time. But if you find a young woman is putting you in a situation like this, find another woman, bro. And don't kill yourself over one opportunity. There's another opportunity coming. And that's what I would advise the young brothers. You may believe that she's the only woman in the world, but the reality is she's really not, bro. She's really not. You know what I mean? Find another girl, settle down, and live a good, comfortable life. Whatever pressures and psychopathy that she have running into her mind, the next woman, she'll prepare a nice dinner for you and say, honey, you know, how was your day today? You know, it's so many. You know what I mean? And at a certain age, they fight for the opportunity to have children and have relationships. So you have to pick it a little if you put yourself in a good, advantageous position. So don't get into these back and forth with these crazy ladies or whatever, because there's so many other women out there who will be able to satiate whatever appetite you may have, who will be able to make you feel comfortable, who will be able to do all the things you want to do. That's my advice to the young brothers. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Buena. So I saved the one resident black equals African woman we have on the panel. I wanted to, hear her thoughts after watching these videos and hearing what everyone else had to say. Tanzan, what say you?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has said pretty much, a summary of the points, but yeah, he should stop fighting. That's why I asked, was this as well as prompt? Because state property is his, unlicensed copyright. But, uh, you know, it's a sad state of affairs, and he should have just it was okay, obviously it's sad and tragic and all that, but it's also hilarious, there's nothing he's trying to school her on why she did wrong, like she didn't know she did wrong. At this point you should just walk away. But I also realize that it's not easy to just walk away. In fact, people have done worse for less. There are people who have done, things just out of suspicion and not even out of any fact. So for him to be able to still collect himself in some way, that's still something, because you don't know how you don't know how nobody knows how they're going to react in a situation like this. You can look at it and say, oh, he was this and that, but you don't know what kind of emotional or any kind of feelings that he had put into it. So yeah, but at the same time, you should always be prepared. You should always be prepared for something of the worst, because like you said, Koku, this can happen to anyone. There are no guarantees in life nowadays. There's nothing that tells you that just because you do 1, 2, 3, or you sign a piece of paper that all those vows that people say in front of people, that's a public statement. But divorce is a private thing. So whatever people go through in public, in private, that's what's going to matter. And that's the reason why arranged marriages, it was I mean, American Dad made a joke like, oh, she will learn to love him. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what he is like, she will learn to love him. Well, they learn to love each other, you expected, because it's not just about two people. And that's why we have it all wrong, like this whole system that we have, where two people just think that they know what it takes to raise a family, or have a relationship, as if they're on some island and they're making all the rules, and everybody before them has been completely wrong, and they're going to just recreate society in their own mini world. That does not happen. It does not succeed, because the reasons why there were so many laws and restrictions is because it took people a long time to be able to get along, to be able to have community and raise children and work and organize and all this. There would not have been enough time to have this kind of silly fights where people are just going off at the edges all the time. There had to be rules in communities. So when you look at it now, that people just go off and dance off in the streets and in the wild, both of these people belong to the streets. Sometimes I could not understand what he was saying in the beginning. I thought that people mumbled rap, but he was mumble talking, like the whole entire time he was just mumbling talking. Maybe the other problem was a breakdown of communication. She could never understand what he was talking about. But anyway, so two individuals think that they have the answers to all of life's questions, and they think that they can get together and what? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so they think that they can get together and figure out something that generations of people have been trying to figure out, and they both see that they're both very silly, and they can't do it. So that is why in many societies, relationships were a communal affair. It was families, and this whole long process, and it wasn't just a public thing, but it was a family thing. There was tests, even with the rites of initiation. People forget that there were also rites of marriage. There were rites to every stage in your life. So rites and tests of marriage. And yeah, this is what you get when it's just laissez-faire. Everybody can do whatever they feel like doing, and yeah, I think that he might see, he might just fight for it because he might be street property as well. People always think that, oh, she's a hoe. Well, who knows what he is most of the time, or if he's not, people should learn to find, their levels. If you're a, you know, if you're a hoe, you should get with a yeah, okay, I don't know, but whatever it is, um he might not be that awesome of a guy either, but she should not have done that to him. That's just, selling it for cheap, for nothing. There's nothing that warrants you risking everything for such a small, paltry, so-called reward. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Tan. Does anyone else want to? We've heard it. We've heard from everyone. Does anyone else want to add any last words here?
Yes, Carl had a good point. It may be pushed here in the Netherlands. You know, of course, of the red light district, and it's there has also the past 2 decades. There's been this hunt on so-called lover boys, but it's the pimps, right? So they have been um, uh, making independence. They have been making these girls independent. So there's certainly a certain push towards the Chamber of Commerce. So yeah, good point, Carl.
I would say this. I would say this. I would say that anyone who wants to get into any of these kinds of relationships, you sit down at the table and find out what's the principles of the woman who you with. What is the driving force for her. For some women it might be religion. For some women it might be politics. For some women it's purely money. And for some women who are whether what's their driving force for their lives. If it's money, you know that she could be bought and sold to the highest bidder. And irrespective of what she may do for that top dollar. So you just really need to find out exactly what's the motivating force of your partner, male or female, and you get some perspective on the kind of life that you're gonna live going forward. I think that would be very important to do. And if women lie and men lie as well, you could basically get a reference point based off of the person's actions. They'll tell you who they are based on what they do, not necessarily what they say, because sometimes what people say and what they do is inconsistent. So to get a better grasp too, just watch what they do every day. They'll tell you exactly who they are. And I'm sure that this person right here on this video, he would have had different opportunities during the course of their relationship to find out what his woman is all about. It's just he chose to ignore it. So there is some I bet you there is some personal responsibility in this scenario, because there's some signs people will give you in terms of who these people are based off of what they do every day. But I'll leave it there.
There are people that are blind to those signs, So that's what I was trying to say, that he must be wounded, or he must have a vacuum in care. He must have missed some care, that he limps through life, uh, uh, tethered to people that he thinks that like or love him. I'm just saying.
I'll
You know what
I'll
else?
say
Oh, sorry.
I'll say this. There's a saying: "What doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse." And all I'm saying is, if he missed it, yeah, that's on him. Uh, but it's also on him to come back and tell as many people as possible. I'm talking serious discussion, serious discourse about what signs occurred for him to hire his boy to go in this motel room, and drop $60 for some crabby. Like, he has to let people know. And everyone who goes through this shit, on both sides too, need to be informing others, right? We supposed to be, having some of these stories like warning stories, that you tell kids to scare them and all kind of shit. Like we should both be having conversations.
Cool.
Yeah, but probably the red flags were so big that he saw nothing. If you ask me,
everything was red.
No, I disagree with that whole thing. I disagree with that, and the reason why I disagree with that is this man wouldn't have set up such an elaborate scheme to catch his woman in something if he didn't believe that there was something to it. I think that there was something in the back of his mind that was telling him, "Hey, my woman might be doing a little something on me. Let me find out." So he going through all this process of this elaborate thing just to catch her in the act, because something was telling him that she may have been like this beforehand. He just was ignoring it. Now he decided to pay attention to it and put it up onto all this. He put it up on a microphone. He have the cameras out or whatever. Obviously, he thought back in his mind that, hey, something is up. It's just that now he just decided to put it up on Twitter. He believed this about long before that. He just was ignoring it up to this point. I believe sometimes it's the things we tell ourselves and it's the things that we choose to ignore.
Ganzan, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say that he knew. Maybe he had a suspicion, but for somebody like that, she probably, knew how to cover her tracks pretty well, or thought that she was smarter than she was. So maybe he just wanted definitive proof of it and so on. But when Haguzuki was talking about you gotta watch them, that also turns into another nightmare. That whole paranoid, oh, you are you cheating on me? Are you doing this? Are you doing something behind my back? You can't have that kind of relationship either. I think that for me, if you feel that something is not right, then you should just address it or walk away, or yeah. But these kinds of like big scenes and so on, if if something is not right, then it's not. And I think that people's instincts are far more powerful than they take it for. Even when they did those paternity tests, I think they said like maybe 60% of them are usually you're not the father. So if somebody is asking for one, maybe some of them are mandated by the court, I don't know, but for most of the time, if somebody asks for one, 60% of the time it's not going to be favorable to the person. So people have a instinct or suspicions and so on. So if you do, I don't think he needed to do all this elaborate setup, but if that's what he needed to finally get himself out of it. But you only do these kinds of things if you really want to get out. If if he's doing this and then he goes back to her, then that defeats the whole point. Like why go through this charade and this whole setup and so on if you're just going to go back to the same thing. Like if you're going to do it and humiliate her, then that's your walking away point, not your begging zone. So yeah, that's all.
I heard some stats the past 2 weeks, and it's in court. The paternity tests in court, it's 92% not the father, and
Wow.
and overall, the stats overall measured by hospitals is 40% not the father.
Wow.
Todd mentioned this word called humiliate, and I'm thinking to myself, how do you humiliate a prostitute? That makes no. I mean, really and truly. I mean, think about it. It really for real. I mean, come on, bro. You're not gonna humiliate a prostitute.
All right.
Have
I
you ever
just
heard the expression "sweating like a whore in church"?
Again.
The expression, "you're sweating like a whore in church." Like, it's so hot, I'm sweating like a whore in church.
I would. I just think that one way to solve a lot of this is just you got to mandate paternity testing at birth. If you're gonna if men are gonna sign any kind of thing, there needs to be confirmation that the seed is actually of, you know what I'm saying, the child, you know what I'm saying, his child. Like, these are things that ensure you know what I'm saying. There's a brother named Dr. Tiesan Johnson. He's big on black male advocacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't have situations where a woman's gonna cheat after he has a whole family, and assuming that those are his kids, and then it's like, everything is everything. It's like, it's not. She needs to be punished. I think that there's. I mean, if anything, he should divorce from her, and he should get, you know what I'm saying, she should have to pay him child support. There should be some kind of punitive measure in favor of the man in this kind of situation. I mean, the laws do not favor men, like, they just don't. That's all I got to say.
I thought someone else would have jumped in there. I stepped away from the computer for a second. All right. If there's nothing else to add here, I'll just read Olugunde's last message. He said, if a man is suspicious enough, if a man is suspicious enough to request a DNA test, there's probably some validity to that suspicion. It's set up like that purposely. Yep. Buana, go ahead.
No, I am of the belief that cheaters need to get cheaters justice, and I like some of the setups that they do in the Middle East. If she was married, I don't know if she was married to this gentleman here, but I believe that cheaters should get cheaters justice. I mean, and maybe I'm a caveman, but I think that when you are caught in the act or something like that, women or men who are married, they should be stoned to death. You mean put to death.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm going there. I'm going there, Tan. Let me follow me.
Give him the death penalty.
No, give me a minute. Yeah. No, I believe that our familial arrangements, our family arrangements, is a very serious matter. And the way we've been dealing with family is as if
I agree,
it's some flippant thing. And what happens is you destabilize not only your community, not only society, but the nation itself when you play fast and loose with family arrangements. So this is a serious matter. This is not a willy-nilly thing. So when you engage in what I consider to be a family arrangement between a man and a woman, you not only have to consider the future of yourself with that partner, you're also considering your familial arrangement with the outside family, grandmom, granddad, all these different arrangements. So these are very serious matter. If you play fast and loose at that, well, I'm still free, we living in a free world. No, I believe that these things should be considered to be very seriously. This is the reason why I take it back to the Sharia law kind of business. Yeah, I take it to Sharia law, the kind of business, and I know it's unpopular to say it because I deal with Western minds, but I believe that it should be the penalty when you are caught in an engagement in these kinds of arrangements. So it'll harness or at least handcuff the behaviors of men and women when they decide to enter these arrangements, to take it that serious, See, let me tell you, in some Middle Eastern countries, they are able to set out their goods for sale. And then at the time when they go to pray, they leave all their goods on the table. Why? Because the consequences of you being caught in the act of stealing is your hand being cut off.
You get your hand chopped right off.
So, right. So this is the reason why they take certain, because they understand that if we cut off one man's hand, we are saving 1,000 other men's hands from being chopped off, because we're going to use that person as a personal example, because we understand that society have to have a degree of cohesion to it. We can't just let people be free to do as they wish. So this is the reason why I take these kinds of situations and I'll take it back to the Sharia business. But I'll leave it there. I know it's popular, but I'll leave it.
I don't think we gotta
I'll
go
say
that
this.
far. I think we can give them a scarlet letter, back back in the medieval times. You get a scarlet letter or something like that, where you got to walk around and carry that with the shame. But talking about taking people's lives, that's a little bit extreme.
I'll say this though. Uh, what's being discussed here is why you have the Ten Commandments, right? These codes of conduct. If you're trying to build a nation, you have to have these commandments. And if you know some of those commandments, a lot of them have to do with infidelity, cheating, stealing, right? Someone was about to say something.
Yes, me. Yeah, Serer, one population in Senegal, with roots in ancient Kemet, by the way. But Serer, they have. Of course it's old. It's not being done much lately. But when the one who cheats, his or her underwear is how should I call it, exposed in public as sort of a shaming.
I think I've heard that before, actually. And Trigger Happy 262. I'm not saying the Ten Commandments are greater than I was just giving the example of even in these people's religious texts, they show you how a part of that rudimentary work of creating those nations and protecting those people groups, they had these rules, and a lot of those rules is centered around the acts of sex and infidelity and stuff like that, right? Did I get everyone on that one? Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Sam.
can I say one thing to finish? When it comes to, and this I give credit, to Yona B for that, but apparently you can sue somebody who causes dissolution of your marriage. So if there's a third party, a mistress or a side man, you can sue them if they cause dissolution. The most famous case apparently was Fantasia. Yes. So yeah, there are legal recourses to that. But in terms of those extreme brutal things, no, I wouldn't impose those kinds of punishments. There are codes, but there are also ways of punishment. I would say that shaming would be one thing, but physical harming to the person, it's I don't know. I don't think it is really. I wouldn't go that far. That's all. But I would definitely, shame them or have some other kind of, non-physical punishment to it. Yeah, that's it.
I'll just say, you might abhor. See, what happens is a lot of our people just abhor violence, and you might abhor violence. Sometimes you got to go there. I think. Sometimes you have
Yeah,
to
I
go
do.
there.
I do abhor violence.
In this case, I think like what Ologunde says in the chat, that old ritual of like you have to get the fuck up out of here now. Your name is mud here now. You gotta go. Yeah, I'm really for that, but I will say certain things you're gonna have to be willing to go there. Right? That violence thing, you're gonna anyone who trespasses, so to speak, against you, foreign or familiar. Sometimes you gotta go there. You have to create that deterrent. Anyone else want to add any last thoughts here? All right. Let's go shoot the breeze topic number 5 tonight. Shoot the